Hey, what's up everybody? BDF 44 coming at you with another video. Alright, so even though my face doesn't necessarily show it, I'm actually in a very peaceful and good space. Obviously with the circumstances in front of me, it's going to be some uneasiness to be expected. But to be honest with you, the perspective that I have this morning is just very clear. I've been praying like I always do. Last night I went to sleep praying, woke up praying. It's just one of those situations where that's how I know to handle my hard times. And with that, I get like these beautiful thoughts and stuff like that just comes into my heart that helps me cope with my circumstance. And the one thing that came to me that I think the Lord wanted me to share with you, and maybe share with myself just as a reminder, of course, of why and how this is supposed to be perceived in my head, is the Lord was fed up with seeing me living like this. It got to a point where he was like, I can't take it anymore. I got to get him out of there. And that's what came to me this morning. After like an hour of straight prayer for everything that came to mind, that just entered my heart as clear as I'm speaking to you. Like, I just couldn't take it anymore. I could not take it anymore, Brandon. And so my thing was, I appreciate that. And what I ask is that you also be fed up with other people going through what they're going through just the same. I appreciate the favor and the love. I appreciate that. But the only way that it really can help others is if you feel just as frustrated about them going through what they're going through. So that's exactly what I said to him. I'm like, I appreciate the favor and I appreciate the importance placed on self because it makes me feel special. And I really, really honor that God wants me to make some changes because I've been praying hard and sacrificing a lot, and it's just like it got to a point where it was dead. The process of what it was that I was doing had lost its way, and I was holding on to my mental health being a clutch to keep me from moving a little too much. Yes, am I in a space where I need help for my mental health? No doubt. Is it severe? I think it's pretty severe from what it is that I've lived with. Is it as bad as I had allowed myself to think to where I can't do what it is I'm capable of doing? No. And it had gotten to a point where I started feeling that it was. And I think that's what it is that the Lord was trying to convey to me that he could not live with. It's like, look, if you're going to make sacrifices because you believe you're doing the AMC thing and you need to you're making it make sense, I'm going to support you. But once you start getting to a point where you can't even save yourself, can't get yourself out of holes, can't, all you can do is just sit back and just wait for the worst to happen, even when there's no plan. Like, when you didn't know any better, that was fine. Now that you found that you need to address your mental health and you've committed to wanting to do so, and then when it's time to make the change to do so, I said, nah, it's too expensive to get there. It was like, I think at that point, God was like, all right, all that he's trying to sacrifice for, all that, it's starting to eat away at him. It's not serving any positive purpose anymore. And it's time for me to be outside. Another thing that came to me right now as I was sitting there waiting for the hot water to warm for my oatmeal and everything, I walked over closer to my to the window over there where all that the water damage is, and I just heard a voice say, look out the window. Just look out the window and look around. And the energy that came to me was, every time you look out that window, God is looking back at you, wishing that you felt confident enough in him to allow him to move you out of here. Every time you look out that window, God is looking back saying, please son, trust me to let you out. And you never understood that. You never let that energy in. It never came into your heart until now. But that is exactly what it was. That God wanted me out of here a long time ago. And genuine friendship is what he wants me to find out there. Genuine friendship. Those are the words that came to me as I was looking out the window after he told me, every time you look out the window, I'll be looking back at you, wishing that you just wanted more for yourself outside of your apartment. When you look outside and you go there looking for sunlight, God wants you to go outside and embrace his love in that sunlight. Just like everybody tell me, why don't you just walk down the street? Why don't you just walk down the street? It's because I was always afraid to. I was always afraid to because I was caught up in a mindset where I taught myself to be afraid to. The only time I ever go outside when I was forced to, and it's like, yo, that's not how God wants me to expend my existence on earth anymore. It served its purpose. Isolation is a comfort I've learned to agree with based on ways that were relevant before. Like when I didn't have my channel, when I didn't have my art, when I didn't have the playlist, when I didn't have the workout stuff, look in the mirror, I didn't see what I like. All these different things that ultimately make up who I define myself to be today. All of that was necessary for somebody who hadn't established any of that. Some of the things that I think I am, it ain't real no more. And that's what I don't think I've come to really understand. The correlation between what I am and how I am outside, it's with the traits attached to somebody who hadn't done the things I've done now. That's really what it is. And because I don't know no difference than to know of me before me, and the work I've put in is just work I've put in, it ain't necessarily defining the person I've become in my mind. But in the definition that God has provided me, it's like, bro, you're going to go outside and be better. You're going to go outside and perceive what you're doing better. You're going to go outside and understand that you have something to give, and that you stayed away from outside was because you felt you didn't have anything to give. Everywhere I go, I can do content. There were times where I would find myself in Chatsworth back in the day, just riding a train, find myself in Long Beach, riding the train, some of the most beautiful scenery that I could just sit and do this there. But because I didn't have this, it just wasn't something that I felt was purposeful. I was just going out to those places with my headphones on my head just to ride the train, to be out of the house, because I loved sunshine and being outside that much that I would literally just take my headphones. When I had no car, I wasn't working, I would just take my little $3 and hop on the train and ride for hours. And I did it a lot. I did it like 4 times a week for like a good 4 months, 5 months. That was just my life. I loved being outside. And so I want people to understand that I had lost that in the last 8 years. I had lost that after my mother passed. I'd lost all of my desire to do any of that because I moved to this neighborhood and just felt like I didn't want to walk to the train. It's like 10 blocks away. I would have kept that going. I assure you I would have. I would have never let that go because I loved it that much. So listening to music riding, it never got bothered by nobody. I never had no bad energy, never got robbed, nothing. It was always God with me every one of those outings, and I always felt better when I came back in the house. I didn't want to stay in the house all day. I never did that. That's the funny thing about it. That is the funny thing about it. I would not stay in the house. And so it's like, I think it's time for me to recapture that with all of these things that I've attributed to myself. Recapture the who I am, and let that be who I display going forward, and let the newness of this new person tell me how I'm going to react to new stuff and new people, and not going outside the same person I came in. Not even close. Not even close. And so that's what I'm looking to find out. Who am I as it pertains to what I would be in circumstances where I think I would be a certain way that I'm not no longer. Because I got things in my head that kid never had in his mind. Things that I believe I'm capable of that dude was lost about. The workout habits that would keep me looking my best so that I can express myself to people in ways that allow me to be comfortable in my own skin. That stuff had something to do with it. So it's like I don't feel that way no more. In fact, it's not even like that in a sense that I feel more confident, turn on the camera and all this stuff. Now you see me every day. So it's like I need to rediscover or now discover who it is that I am as it pertains to the world that I'm going to be taking back now that I'm this human being. You know, how many of y'all going to see me in the world and recognize me? I'm not used to being no kind of recognized by nobody. Like at all. You know what I mean? And so it's like, what does God have in store for the newness that is myself? And how can I take what it is that I've built in this house, attach it to the confidence that I have in my faith, and let it guide me to my worth? You know, that's my question. How can I let it guide me to my worth? And I'm staring at my art, and it's like, you know, the ticket was always understanding that as it pertained to the art, that was a suggestion by the Lord himself. It was a suggestion. It just came into my heart, and it just said, everything will make sense by the end of this weed bag. Remember I told y'all about that? I was smoking my little wedding cake bag, and I picked up the bag, and for whatever reason, that voice came to me. It said, by the time you finish this bag, all of this will make sense. And at that point, it was like a feeling that, you know what, you should start drawing and just kind of doodling or whatever with your markers. It was like that. It was when I said, you know what, let me just finally start that. After hearing those words, like, and after you finish this weed bag, all this gonna make sense. And then it just became like let's do art. And I've been doing it ever since. And it helped me with all the anxieties and all these different feelings that come with just being this person that was in isolation and all these different things without the confidence that was coming, that is building now. It's like that art helped me build something. A lot of those art pieces were just stagnant as it pertains to me just scribbling, trying to develop a style, trying to find something that looked like something. There were months where I just couldn't get really anything going, and then all of a sudden, the more I kept doing it, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, they start getting a little more polished. They start to make a little more sense as it pertains to what you're looking at. And then I start looking up, and I made good pieces. One piece, it was like early on, some dude really liked that piece, and I'm just like, man, I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm not good at this. And it's just like, but I'm gonna keep going because I'm getting that encouragement. Keep going because people are telling me that they like what I'm doing. My homeboy Joe's wife is a fan of my art, so she's always online appreciating the art pieces and showing me that the love. And it's like, I don't believe I'm really all that great at it, but now that I have done it so many times, I don't find myself not being able to do regular cohesive pieces no more. The ones that I call duds look more and more like the good ones from the past. So it's like that progression, it builds you a confidence, that progression, it builds you up in understanding that you can build, especially if you follow the Lord's will in regards to what you start. Same thing with the push-ups I told y'all about. He told me, I always tell y'all the story. He told me to get down and do push-ups when I was sitting in the corner over here in my worst, chest all caved in, stomach all gut out because I was so depressed at the end of the year 2 years ago. Depressed and sad and broke, kind of going through what I'm going through now. In fact, a lot worse, believe it or not. But I've built, right? It's like I've built the confidence to go through this in a different way, and it comes from doing something 6,000 times, like literally. And you just build it, and you keep building, and you get better, and you stay where you think is good, and you get even better. Then you look up and you've created something. You're like, whoa, what is that? Like, how did I get that out of what it was that I couldn't seem to find nothing out of? And I remember when I first started, and when I was finding that my pieces look like crap, I was like, someday all this scribble is going to look cohesive because I'm going to be doing it so much that it's just going to turn into something. Like, I knew that was the process. I knew it. I was like, I suck at this. I'm going to stay sucking at this for a little bit, but I'm going to push through. And I'm going to get better. And now at 6,000, it's like I got a whole style. I got 1,000 pieces that are probably the same type. So it's like, if you like this color, I got that color. It's like that kind of thing. So it's like, yo, I don't know what the Lord wants me to do with this art. I'm afraid that I don't have nowhere to store it. I think Kay said she wants to take it if it becomes between myself throwing away or not. I think I have someone to give it to. But it's like that's not necessarily what it's for. It's for consumption of the public, and if they can appreciate it, then it would be something that can be attached to other things that ultimately make up who I am, the BDF. So it's like, what do I do with my art? I don't know, but I know that it's not about those 6,000. It's that I've done 6,000 and can now make really good ones from here. So it's like, okay, if all those go to hell, that sucks. But the ability to always make good cohesive pieces forevermore from here on out is now in place based on how many times I've done it. It's a skill. It's no longer just a hobby. It's something I could literally do. I could sit at the beach right now and do my art pieces and probably sell them for like $3 a pop if I really want to. I don't know how many of them will actually be any good, but that's not the point. The point is I got a style, I got an emblem, and it's unique, and it's bold, and I just want to add it to to everything that I do. I want that emblem that I have on my art to be on here as well. So it's just a lot of stuff that I want the Lord to do for me in regards to what it is I'm building here, and the confidence to put the bells and whistles, so to speak, on my channel, put the hashtags, write up a bio, all those different things that you don't find on my channel. Minimal effort for minimal judgment, I think, was the formula that I was applying to my circumstances. If I don't pour too much in, I ain't gonna have too many people judging me on every mistake I make. They're gonna look and see that person's putting in minimal effort and expect little from me. But I don't want y'all to expect little from me anymore, because I've been doing this too much for that. So now I just need to override the laziness or the lack of thorough nature or the lack of the education that would otherwise put me in a position to write up something that would be comparable to what you guys see in other places. I want y'all to know that because I've been doing this stuff alone, and because I have some old weak lazy habits at times, that's why this thing ain't built up. It's not because I don't love it enough to do it. It's just because I've been locked into certain truths, and some of those truths are I don't find myself doing certain things even if it's necessary. I don't. It's like, you know, it's something that is now time to override. So I want people to know that there's a lot for me to do. And I believe that some could perceive what I'm doing is wasting time instead of doing what needs to be done. I respect that, because there's a deadline, 10 days, which I think he said the 21st, to be honest with you, which means they're not going to count weekends. So that's something I didn't mention. I said 7 days. I was just going through it, but it was actually a 10-day thing, and I think it's all weekdays, and I will double check that to make sure. So it's not actually 10 days. It's more like 14 or whatever it is from here, 17 or something like that. So I tell you, I look forward to being ready to be out of here much sooner than that. I tell you that I'm looking to throw away everything that I don't want in this house, or discover how to make decisions to throw things away today, let alone waiting that long. I don't know. I want to meet the urgency that the Lord has provided the understanding of, which is he's sick of me being in this place, and he can't take it no more. And he didn't let me have 60 days because he didn't want to wait 60 days. He didn't let me have 30 days because he didn't want me to have 30 days. He was tired of this now. And that's what he wanted me to convey to you guys as a prophecy, I guess, or however you say that, as what it is that he instilled in me as truth. And that I can be at peace with the timing, the 7 days, because it's him that wanted that deeply for me. Now, wherever we go from here, it's going to be because I lean on faith, and because he puts it in the heart of others to support me in a time of need. And what I ask that he does is put me in a position to be unselfish enough to support them too, so that anything that wouldn't be of God doesn't enter into the equation as I'm in need. I don't have that in my heart, but I don't want to develop it either. If people need something from me, I want to be strong enough to give it to them. And in the past, I wasn't always like that. In fact, in the past, I didn't do that. And I'm not proud of that. There have been such circumstances where people needed to stay with me. I didn't let them. And it was because of certain situations that were real. I ain't gonna lie. But at the same time, I should have just bit the bullet, so to speak, and let them people have a place to stay. And that haunts me every day that I think about it, that is. Because I honestly don't think about that every day, but when I do think about it, it's like, yo, that's something I'll never, ever really think that I made the right decision on people, and open my door to people and stuff like that. But a lot of it had to do with how I was living. The isolation, demand upon myself, fear that letting people into my situation, not knowing how, a lot of stuff that didn't have to do with the faith of God and the love that I needed to respect the circumstances that people had, the desire to just, not desire, but the desperation and need. Because I hadn't experienced that, it's like I didn't display the most important urgency and compassion for the help I could provide. So I look forward to the Lord getting into my mind and discerning the right way to display what it is that I have to give, so that I'm not welcoming anything into my life that would ultimately dull out that intention, rerouting me back to the space where I don't allow nobody to live with me. You know what I mean? It's one of those situations where it's like, you want to do right by people, but you don't want to give people something that can allow them to take advantage of you. And so I want people to know that when I'm in a time of need, I'm also cognizant of that, and look very much forward to the Lord put me in a position to hold my weight where I get where I'm going. If I got to live with people, I need to be working. And that whole idea that I have about not wanting to work because Moas is coming, that's dead. It's dead. I got to be able to work, and I got to be okay with that. So I'm asking all of y'all to pray for me and everybody who has that problem. If you need a job and don't want one, or you do want one and can't find one, or if you just got fired, or if you think you're about to lose a job, or it's a seasonal position and you need to get, transition into the next one. If you need to get away from somebody that you work with, but it doesn't seem feasible that you can get out of that position right now, or you got a baby on the way and you just need more money, whatever it is, brother or sister, I promise you, I'm thinking about it as I'm going through what I'm going through, and I'm praying about it right now. This is that. I'm telling God there's some people out there who need something. I'm in a space where I need something. So I definitely know that the desperation and desire is there to ask for the urgency necessary in responding from on high, Lord. That's what I'm asking. Get us that, whatever it is, make it so for us, all of us. So that's what I'm saying, man. Now, I woke up, I had Houston on my mind this morning. I don't necessarily want to move to Houston. I've never been to Houston, but that was like the first thing that came to mind. So I might find myself in H-Town. I don't know. I got family over there. So I don't know what the Lord is going to have for me, but I know it's going to be quick. My transition from this place to where I'm going, it's going to be fast. So I don't know if Houston is it, or maybe I need to talk to some people in Houston, let them know what's going on. But I got some loved ones out there that probably should know what's happening with me. But as far as me wanting to live out there or jump into their household, I would love for the Lord to make it so that I'm not imposing on people in different states without any real direction as to how to make a way for myself, because I've never lived nowhere else, and I'm going to need a lot to get where I'm going. So whatever the case may be, I just ask that he immobilize within me the money-making ways and efforts that will be of God, so that I can hold my weight. If that means going to a job and doing something that I didn't love to do, I'm looking forward to him putting it in me, the humble nature to get it done and enjoy it, the experience of it, and enjoy the newness of it. If it's some other way, maybe he wants to do something else, I'm open, because at the end of the day, I don't want to be useless to myself and others, especially in a situation like this. So that's going to be an intention that I keep with me, and it's going to be a part of my prayers going forward, that I hold my weight if I have to live with others, so that I hold my weight in regards to paying off the next bills, or paying off that, all that. I definitely look forward to overcoming my own struggles in that way. So I think for me, it's like I want to prioritize my mental health. I wish we lived in a world where we could do that in these circumstances. Like, everything went to crap. Let me get my head right, and then I can address it. But that's just not necessarily the path. So for me, it's like, all right, I am not where I'm going as it pertains to my head, but I am in a space where I can welcome faith in a very, very intense way, and let that kind of deal with the anxiety while I'm trying to, manage it without necessarily having anything else. So far it's okay. I think I have the right amount of fear that comes with this situation in my belly right now. I know I only ate like half a meal yesterday and I'm not hungry, so that's a problem. In the midst of all these prayers and all of that, I still got to take care of the body. So I did a couple squats, but didn't have the energy to do my regular regimen as it pertains to the heavy ones. So it's like, that comes from not eating, and that not eating comes from the worry that comes with this situation. But I'm applying the faith, so I need my body to catch up. Like, my mind is only minimally worried. My stomach is still reacting to the stress. So it's like, I want to keep healthy, man. I'm not of the stress that I'm feeling. I'm actually of the urgency of meeting God's will upon my life, and remembering the cat coming out of nowhere, and those type of things that reaffirm that I'm on the right path. That's what I really want to believe in, not the energy that's trying to enter my equation that would otherwise lean into doubt. And we talked a lot about that yesterday. I prayed a lot about it after I got off the camera. It's anything that would lead into doubt. That ability that I found last night to block those energies out, those frequencies out, to where I can only feel them trying to get in the door, but not necessarily in my mind. That was a huge breakthrough for me last night. Massive. And I woke up this morning intent on recapturing that. And I tell you, I think right now, this very second, is probably the weakest I've felt as it pertains to my thoughts and what I've gone through. And even it's not nearly as bad as normal. It's just I don't know, it's like an inner gut type of an uneasiness that I don't think is honestly of God at all. I really don't. And the closer I get to him, the more I feel the comfort that he gives to me to give to the camera, the more I realize the real way he wants me to be thinking. Not anything that would otherwise enter the equation, an inability to handle adversity. Nothing like that. Anything that would otherwise deteriorate my confidence that I can handle what needs to be done. None of that. So these are the things that I'm just trying to train myself into doing as I go into uncharted territory, and to also respect that my conditioning does have it so that I am like this, but I found myself conditioned for this, so I can condition myself out of it. And that's something I never even really thought about while in this space. It's like the choosing of conditioning to change. It just comes with the embedded intent on doing things differently, one day at a time, no different than the art. You get through the little lull when things don't seem normal, and then they start getting a little more normal, and you start getting comfortable, and you're conditioned for that as you continue to do it. So for me, it's like I want to start the process of new conditioning, and kind of not deriving from the past as a means of trying to apply what I think is best for the future. Yes, you want to keep your experiences close, but I don't want to do the anticipation, I know what's going to happen type. My brain does that naturally, and it's not of God either. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not a psychic. I've been wrong too many times to trust my pessimism, and God has come through too many times while being positive to actually trust that either. Or rather, to not trust that. To not trust that. Just please forgive my words as they fade into a different space. But at the same time, it's like you want that faith to keep you believing that you can do things better than you did before. And a lot of times, for me, as I said earlier, I'm just kind of looking at myself as the same person I used to be. And you don't have to do that no more. You don't have to look at yourself and say, yo, this is how I react to things. You don't react to things that way. You react to things the way God put it in your heart to react to things. You know what I mean? So I think that that's what's on my heart. And as I'm looking at my clock, I realize the battery has died. And I think it just did that right now. And so you just look at timing things like that. Timing things like that. On the floor, it ain't moving. And it stopped. Look at the real time. Well, I can show y'all this way. Look at the real time. It's like it just stopped. Like literally, something's battery in that thing in over 3 years. And for it to stop right now. So I'm saying these type of things like God talking about the cat coming out of nowhere, how you don't have to look at things the way they used to, and time stands still right in front of me. And so it's like, look, these signs are not meant for just me. He's allowing me to get these things on camera, point them out for all of us, so that when I can have the reaffirmation when I look back on it, like, yo, as you're feeling your anxiety, you see what God's doing? A lot of people ain't gonna see those as signs, but you're trained to see those as signs. You know that's me there for you, telling you I'm still here. You're not off code, so to speak. You're not off timing. And that's what's most important to me when I got a deadline like this, or rather a countdown, or whatever this is. It's like, am I wasting my time, God? No. You're doing what God wants you to do. You can't see what he's about to do next, and for all you know, this is the only thing really relevant. And that's what living has taught me. And I tried to allude to this in other ways, but I'm gonna give it to you in this way too. Simple as that. God is with you on what you're doing right now. How you're moving right now is how he wants you to move right now. If it's in your heart and you're listening to that voice inside of you that's telling you to do right, you're on time. You're definitely exactly where he wants you to be, and he will show you that in his own way. So don't think that you have to slow down or do anything, speed up in any way, try to hurry up and rush, because at the end of the day, you don't know what comes with what. You know what is supposed to come with certain things, but a lot of variables can come into play that can deter everything, and he's in control of those variables, which is what these signs actually are supposed to prove. It's supposed to be a breadcrumb type of thing to show you how he moves in bigger ways. You see how the cat came out of nowhere? You see how the clock ended out of nowhere? That's why you take those examples, you apply your faith, and then you understand that he's going to move mountains that way as it pertains to your life. You're going to get your job, you can get your apartment, you can get your family, you can get all these different, whatever it is. That's how he's going to move in your life. By the way of that timing, by way of those coincidences, and applied faith from within you toward him. And I think that that's what the message is. These little signs, they're there for you so that you know how to apply the faith when it looks bad. When it looks like, oh my God, I'm going to run out of time. No, you're not, because you don't see that the Lord is going to stop traffic over there, so you got a couple extra hours. Like these type of things, like he's in control of that. And if your favor is aligned with him, he going to make it work. He going to align you with what's best. You think you only got 10 days left? No. Something else about to happen in the world that's going to make it so that they got to delay that. It's like, it's just, you don't know. Or that thing that's telling you you can't do it, now you don't see that you're going to be able to do so much, because now suddenly you just got a burst of energy that came out of nowhere, and the Lord is actually in your heart and in your body, moving you to do things that you didn't think you could do, because it's just simply time for you to do those things. You ain't never done them before because it wasn't time yet. I was talking to the Lord about wanting to break away from this place. Like, Lord, I only want to remember the bad things about this apartment as it pertains to trying to break away from it. Because if I'm thinking about all the good things, then it's going to be hard to do so. But the Lord came to me in a way to say, that's not how this works. I wanted you to be here between this date and this date. After that, it wasn't written for you to be there. You weren't there. In your story, it's already written. You weren't there. And so it's like when you start looking at it that way, it's like, okay, so, all right, so I don't have to worry about messing up on the 60 days as it pertains to spiritual energy, because those 60 days wasn't actually meant for me to be here in the first place. It was never written that way. It gives you the ability to accept your situation and build from within it with a positive mindset. I said the same thing about people passing away. They weren't supposed to be here for no longer than that. They weren't in the story. My mom passed away on March 30th, 2016. March 31st. I may have thought I needed my mother, but as it was written, she wasn't in the story anymore. Now that's a harsh thing to say aloud, but it does help you understand the timing of God as it pertains to what he's doing. We be getting so caught up with the things that we want to keep going in our lives. The wife and the marriage ends or what have you, something goes wrong. It wasn't meant for her to be in your life no more after that. It wasn't. You had to let that go so that you can usher in the new reality of what is meant for the times that you're now in. It was never written. So when you hold on to stuff that wasn't meant for you, that's godlessness. Because God has written the story. It's already written. You were where you were until you weren't there anymore and you moved on. I think about my tenure in various different places. And what also gives me comfort is the faith that I leaned on when I walked away from certain things. In the past, when it was time for me to quit Park Place, I remember I was sitting there doing a job that wasn't initially what I applied for, because they had done some things differently with the positions and made me a maintenance man. I wasn't a maintenance man. I didn't want to do that. It paid great, but I didn't care to do it. And I just remember cleaning off some those pool seats that lean back, the little recliners, with one of the other maintenance guys, and it just came to me right in that moment. This is over with. Right there. It was a third of the, well, I'll say 1/3 into the shift. 2 hours into my shift. Minding my business, sunlight beaming on me with the perfect, weather. It was like 77 degrees or something like that. And the Lord just said to me, this is over. Quit now. Like right now. That's what I did. I was like, bro, I'm done with this. I'm not finishing the shift. I'm out. And I got on the bus. I left there like 10:45 in the morning. Got on the bus. I remember it was 2014, probably somewhere around March 2014. Never looked back. The completion was real. The energy that I received that told me it was done was true. It was written that I was only supposed to work there from 2011 to 2014 at that exact moment. And when the Lord wanted me away from that place, he told me exactly when to leave. Exactly when to leave. Tumble forward 10 years, however many years it's been. 9 years. And I still feel like I'm on the same path that he told me to be on when he wanted me to be all of the stuff that I ultimately became. He knew of BDF 44's channel that day. He knew of my art that day. He knew of the playlist curation project that day. And that's the point. It's like when you in tune with God, he's going to align you with the timing that allow you to transpire your whole life. But if you get derailed from what it is that his timing is, if I would have stayed there an extra day, if I would have stayed there extra 3 days, I'm off timing. He's going to have to reroute me once again, which is what brings me back to the completion of the other job, Santa Monica. Remember I told y'all, God told me to quit that dang job, and I didn't this time. And I went to work and had the worst work week, cut my hand, people passed away, all kind of weird stuff. My phone got taken. I was running around scrambling looking for my phone, just to find out that the security guard had taken it. It was like all kind of stuff. It was like, yo, I didn't have to go through none of that. I was already in a ruptured space. The Lord was telling me to quit because I had gotten to my fed up point where my mental health was terrible. It wasn't meant for me to be there that week. That week was going to send me over the edge to where I'm driving down the street 150 miles an hour screaming at the top of my lungs. I don't get that experience if I would have been obedient and left when he told me to. You guys got to understand. That was the moment. When I went through all of that, that was the moment when I really snapped as it pertains to being in this house over the last 2 years. I let myself rupture into a place that wasn't positive, and because of it, I didn't feel I could go back to work. Because I worked that work week instead of quitting when I should have, I didn't have the energy to get back on the ball as it pertains to working. I didn't want to get back. I was done. I had done too much for what it is I could take in. The Lord knew that. He told me what to do, and I didn't listen. And because of it, no telling how much of this got done this way, because it ain't been as smooth because I wasn't as obedient. It comes back around to the same thing. Remember I told y'all yesterday, he told me not to do something, I did it anyway, and bad things transpired. When he came to me and said, you better stop doing that, and I didn't, and I saw what came, like these timing things. What you're seeing on this camera with the cat, what you're seeing with the clock, I've been seeing this my whole life. There's a lot of times when I look at the clock, it's on the hour. 7 o'clock on the dot. It's like, these are the timing things. It's like every other day something like that happens to me where I'm looking at the clock, on the dot, on the hour. It's like, if his timing ain't in my life, and if he doesn't want me to have the confidence to speak the way that I do, he certainly gave me a very unique path to share with you guys in regards to what it is that's there to see in time. It's undeniable. It's not to be trifled with as it pertains to if you're obedient on the time he wants you to be on time, it's going to transpire you to be in exactly where you need to be at the right time in every situation. And there's so many people not on his timing because we're taught not to be, by way of our cultures and our ways. Sometimes our religions kind of course us off timing with the bad energy that it places to exalt itself, to assure that all the donation dollars are coming their way. It's a lot of stuff that ain't meant for our betterment. And I'm telling you, the Lord is starting to look at his people and he's saying, I can't take it no more. I'm moving you out of these circumstances that keep you off my timing. I'm moving you out of these circumstances that are not meant for your benefit. I'm moving you out of these circumstances that will otherwise keep you suppressed from being the blessing that I want you to be. I want you to be able to reach people in ways that you're not able to. You know, another thing that came to me, I was praying prayers that can't be manifested in the space that I sit in. Help me help others. Help me do this. Help me be there. How can I be there if I'm here 100% of the time? It's like at some point in time, you got to know that the Lord is going to have to uproot you in order for what it is that you're asking him to do to take place. It's another reason why I know what I'm saying is true, that he's fed up with me being in this house. He's sick of it. He's sick of it. He's literally sick of me being this way. And ain't no ambiguity, ain't no question, ain't no maybe, none of that. It's like, I cannot take it anymore. You're suffering for no damn reason. And it's time for new things. You're 38 years old. It's time for new things, man. You can't keep doing this. I'm struggling with my everything. Skin, food, allergies, all kind of weird stuff that I just know the Lord is ready to redirect. It's time to take it somewhere else. It's like, no, we're not doing this here. We're going to do whatever you got to go through. We're moving you on to a different chapter of your life with different years that you're supposed to be there. Or however long it's supposed to be, whatever. But that's what it is, man. I came in here a video game player. 7 hours, 8 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, 2K. Obsessed. Like, that's what I did with all my time before I really developed all this different confidence. And as a result, I would go there, get frustrated with the servers, and find myself redirected from God's plan. Frustrated with the servers in the sense that they would mess up the latency of what you're touching so that you slow it down. You were throwing your controller all over the place, cussing, giving it more energy than it needs because you're trying to defy what it is that's ultimately meant to break you or frustrate you. Just various stuff that had nothing to do with just playing basketball. It was dealing with the spirit of the energy that's there to be an antagonist to my happiness. And I know it was there. I speak to it just like I'm speaking to everything else. Because it wasn't a God. It wasn't meant for my benefit. It was only meant to waste my hours. Waste hours. When you look at all the different things that are necessary in life to build you up to be a billionaire or to build you up to be your best self. All the time it took for me to get to a point where I could do 6,300 cohesive art pieces. You never start those processes with the time wasters that we often have that are embedded in our culture. And this is not going to be popular because it's a lot of great art that we watch for a lot of time. And I'm not trying to tell people to turn off TV or stop watching cameras at all, because obviously I'm on there. But it does come a time where you just realize that regardless of what you're doing, you're not building yourself up when you're staring at something just like this, unless you're taking in a certain type of content. But for like video games, stuff like that, you're just kind of standing in one spot for a long period of time while your mind and your body is occupied in weight. And while that is something that can occupy the comfort of, like, just obviously keeping you entertained and keeping you energized and all of that, at the end of the day, what it really does, it just keeps you standing still. Even with the stuff that we used to love, go to the movies, 3 hours, stand still. Watch anything on TV, however long, stand still. And it's just like, I don't think that's how he wants us to do it anymore. Obviously, you can get you a treadmill or something like that and run, like, you know what I mean? But I just think that the hour wasters, the things that we just sit and I just don't think that's where he wants our head anymore. When I start to look at the way he's moving me with timing, how he's opened my heart to prayer, all the different prayer that I've been doing these last couple of days, and the understanding of how to protect myself from intrusive thoughts, how to find the comfort or whatever that would otherwise keep me from being my worst anxious self while I'm going through my most difficult times. I never open those doors when I'm sitting there and wait, looking like this. You're just not going to develop that. Different tools. So what that is for a specific time. When you have the time, set aside that time and give it that. Because if you don't, you're just sitting there. And I spent my whole childhood sitting there, and there were so many different things that I could have put in practice that would have made me more confident, that would ultimately help my path. But because I was coerced by way of culture into time wasters and became obsessive with the time waster based on my mentality and how I was and the isolation I allowed myself to have back then, it just became a situation where I was always wasting time. And as a result, I did not like how it reflected upon my body. Sitting, fat, eating bad, fat. That kind of thing, it really played on me. And it was like, it came from what I was putting my effort into. How was I spending my hours? Sitting. When did it end? When did it start? Whenever. There was no discipline. There was no the insertion of a thought that discipline could be something I should want. None of that. It was just like, you do what you want, feel how you feel, and then stop when you're ready. And so it's like, if that's how you're making it happen, you're definitely not going to reflect positively upon yourself. It's not gonna look good on you. You got to put in work on you to get where you want to go. That's going to keep you from putting in that work. And so that's what I've come to understand. It's like, it's not that I don't have a passion for the same stuff I had a passion for. If I can sit there for 7 hours every day, the passion ain't go away. But the understanding that it was a waste of time, it's just liberating my mind to understand. It's a liberated thought. Like, you were sitting there getting worse. What the Lord did was remove that from your life, put other things in your life that can help you get better. And there's a world full of people doing the same thing. A world full of people doing the exact same thing, not knowing of any discipline away from that, not knowing the fruit, and not dealing with that type of stuff for too long, and redirecting your thought to do things that really help your spirit and mind. More meditation, less wasting time. That's the method. So yeah, I just want to share with y'all everything that the Lord's been giving me over the last couple of days, man, because it's been constant prayer, because obviously that's how I cope. So it's like, when I do that, he opens up my mind. He lets me talk, and he lets me figure out what it is that ultimately would be best for the content itself. And so I just am very thankful that these difficult times have come to provide me a closeness with him, which brings me to my next thing. That's exactly what the next phase of this conversation is. Getting closer to God has helped me cope with circumstances. It's allowed me to understand that because I've gotten closer to him, there will be opportunities to defeat the cultures that ultimately would plague my mind, the bad energies that would plague my mind, reaction to stuff. I will have a better temperament. All that stuff is real when you keep close to him regularly. Meditation and all that. I was listening to a basketball player talking about he was in a meditative state. I think it was Jamal Murray talking about being in a meditative state. Kobe used to talk about being in a meditative state. Kyrie talked about being in a meditative state when they play the sport they play. And I totally believe that. Because I know how much clarity I get for the different things that I'm doing when meditation is key. when I've been in meditation the whole time, it can definitely bring out the best in me. So that's why I want people to know that prayer is not just something that you're submitting to God and hoping for good things. It's a practice of the mind to help to redirect the bad thoughts out, redirect the negativity out, the doubt out, the lures out. God will help keep that out. So that's what I'm here to tell people. You're not forced to stay in those places without some path out of that in your head. You just got to learn to love a higher power and allow him to put you in a position to have that confidence from there. So I think that's what I was trying to convey. I hope that came out the right way. But the Lord is just, it's good, man. It's good that you have that relationship with God. You don't have to worry about doubting as you continue to apply that faith. The more you apply that faith, the less you allow doubt in. The more you apply that faith, the less you find yourself looking at God saying, where's my next blessing coming from? You know where it's coming from. It's coming directly from him. When is it coming? You'll be ready for the wait that it takes if you stay close to him. And so it's like these are the type of things he's put in my heart. How long is it going to take before I get my next place? How about you're going to find a way to live in a new conditioning, and because of it, you're going to be better for that. Can you fathom that? Maybe not. But that the Lord has shown you signs will allow you to know that is possible, and that may be his choice. If you apply your faith, you'll see his favor. Because he reserves the right to change his mind, but I don't think he wants to leave his people in spaces where they're unhappy just to be, to make him happy. That's not what he wants for you. And, I think about the people who are incarcerated. You can liberate your mind, man. You may not be able to liberate your body, but I promise you that comfort that I'm finding in my circumstances will allow you to find a universe of happiness if you apply it as much as necessary. A lot of things you can't shake off. I remember last night I was saying, a spider can't bite me if I'm praying. And I thought about some of the situations that just derailed that just made that just look so false. But the reality is the Lord's going to make happen what he wants to make happen. Maybe unfortunately praying is something that can have people getting attacked. I've seen it, seen it. But at the same time, you just got to trust the Lord no matter what. Trust him. You just got to let him guide you, and there's no comfort to be had in those circumstances where people are being attacked while they're praying. There's no comfort for that, but I just want people to realize that when I said what I said, that I could also fathom that. And I didn't want people to think that your church shouldn't have no security. Basically what I'm saying. I don't want people to think that. Just because you're praying does not mean that the enemy won't try to come in and destroy what you got going on. He's done it many times. And I don't know if the Lord has given me an answer for how to handle that or how to cope with that or what to say for that. I don't have an answer. But I do want to encourage people to not let the fear of those circumstances keep you from seeking God. Because I think that's what those examples were actually for. To just give you one more example of why you should stay away from church, why you should stay away from praying, why you should be fearful of bowing your head and closing your eyes. Making it so that you have to be on top of everything no matter what, and you'll never submit to God for preservation of self. So I think that a lot of times the enemy just seeps into these circumstances to make us feel like we are further away from God than we actually are. And so I pray for those who've lost their lives while they were praying, church shootings and stuff like that. And I just ask that the Lord provide a bit more protection for his people going forward, for the betterment of the innocent. So that's my thought. That is my thought. I want to amend that. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. I think at this point I'm just wasting time. I really am. I really, really appreciate you guys being here for the comfort. I want to let good energy into my heart. I also want to be balanced in regards to what it is that needs to be done and my willingness to make it happen. I think the most important thing that I can say for myself at this time is I've been obedient. And I think whatever doubt that would otherwise try to come in to keep me from feeling that I've been obedient, I think it's a liar. I really do. I think that what needed to be done, only I and God really know how important it was for me to retreat into this house. That's what I'm here to honestly admit. Only God knows exactly how bad I was doing. I've tried to convey to you exactly how bad I thought I was doing. I hope that I was able to convey it so that people understand that I stopped working for a very, very, very serious and good reason. I don't think that the Lord wants me to think that that is still as necessary. I think that's what's coming in my heart right now. It was necessary. And going forward, maybe new things will be necessary. That's kind of how it goes. And I want to rebuke the energy that would overall keep me in spaces that would let me be less productive. The marriage that I have to the timing of being able to just turn on the camera whenever I want, or the timing of being able to do whatever I want in my space. For a long period of time, 8 years of this, it has had its perks. It's definitely had its bad conditioning. But all in all, I want to take from it what it should and leave what it is that should be left as well. So I think if I'm to say anything for myself, it's just to say that the Holy Spirit is moving me in such a way to help me understand that, I'm of Him, and that of me is of Him because of it, so long as I stay close to Him. And as a result, I think good things may be possible from within what it is that He put in me to give. The love, the compassion, the creativity, the talent, whatever it is that you may perceive within me. This all stems from the ability to trust God, allow Him to enter me in ways that will comfort and direct me. And when I deviate from that, I often find myself in spaces that makes me deeply unhappy. Deeply. And it may not have anything to do with what it seems. No different than me believing doubt about circumstances. It just becomes a situation where you let those intrusive thoughts do more damage than you allow the Lord to do healing. And that has to end for me. So I want to extend to everybody a sense of appreciation for allowing me to get in my preacher bag. I know it turns certain people off. And even I, in certain times in my life, don't necessarily desire to be ministered to. I want people to understand that. I think because I'm feeling such deep stuff and need to lean on my faith so much that it's the only conversation I really want to have. And I think that that's okay, but I want people to be cognizant of the fact that I know that that's not for everyone as it pertains to what you're open to. But I do believe that it is for everyone once you find out that it's okay to be open to it. Once you find out that it's okay to believe in something greater than yourself, that you don't have to be on top of everything, and that if you have your faith, you may be able to be on top of more things because you will let certain things go. You will let certain things, and you will view certain things a certain way that may not be favorable otherwise based on that faith. It will give you this truth. So that's what I'm here to bring to you. It's like, of course it don't make sense if you don't believe, but once you believe, you start to really see all the angles that would otherwise make it make sense. That's the variable that's missing. It's the God variable. If I didn't have the God variable, I would have never been able to perceive my situation as God being sick of me being here and can't wait to get me out of here. It would be some other intrusive evil thought that would otherwise lean into the negativity that would ultimately coerce me into energies that are not grateful. And that has also been a message we've had on this channel for a couple of days. Who are you when the thing happens? Who are you when it happens? Last time I had to go to court, who was I when it happened? Somebody trying to restore his energy. You know what I mean? After having a weak moment or whatever. Who am I this time? Somebody that didn't have that problem because I was having that energy positive. And because of it, look where I'm at. The worst took place, but I'm handling it in a God-fearing way. As opposed to, oh, it's all bad. I want to jump off a roof. You know how I used to get. How I was just a couple days ago when negativity was the forefront. I don't even think I listened to that therapy session. I don't think I want to. I think that's the second one that I don't listen to. Because it's so negative. It's so recent to stuff that I'm going through right now to where I don't think it can hold much weight, me being negative about my circumstance. It was good to get it out when it was necessary to get it out. But it's even more so necessary to share the other side of it. I don't want to die. I don't want to hurt anybody. I don't want to take from my family to feed myself. I don't want to do any of that stuff at all. The stuff that's necessary and definitely the stuff that's not. I just want to be who the Lord wants me to be, stand on my own feet, and then from there be able to bestow that help to others. That is what's in my heart. And the only way I'm going to get there is if I walk this path and let Him guide me every step of the way. And at the end of that, we should see all that it is that I was hoping would come. Maybe not in the form that I have planned, but just basically the overall energy that I hope to give to the world. I think the Lord will make it happen. So as long as I stay on His path, and so that's what I hope that He's allowed me to do today. Stay on His path, not deviate from that this morning as I feel whatever I'm feeling. Fight the energy of anxiety, fight the energy of selfishness, not wanting to share. Like I was going through that week when I messed up my energy. I wasn't coming here to y'all. That was the biggest sin. I wasn't helping myself. I wasn't helping y'all. I wasn't doing nothing in the form of therapy session. I was talking about the Lakers and feeling negative energy in the process. And I'm telling y'all, my energy has turned around now. It's like, yo, I ain't turning back to no kind of negative energy, no kind of deviation from God's will upon my connection with Him. I ain't deviate from that because I know what's going to make me the person I need to be to absorb whatever is coming, whether it's great or not so. You know what I'm saying? But I'm welcoming great just the same because it's already been not so. So that's what it is. Don't worry about the problems in the world. Don't worry about the problems that you have. Just focus on what the Lord can do for you in regards to making you a better person through those circumstances. If you're going through something, that means you can pray for somebody who's going through the same thing, and that you want going through it doesn't allow for you to maybe enter the equation with that type of intensity. That's also what came to me this morning. I've said that a couple times on this camera. Let God lead you to being relatable in prayer. I'm going to be homeless. I'm praying for all the homeless people this morning. I'm sitting here asking the Lord to give me shelter. I'm being cognizant of the fact that I'm in shelter while I'm asking that. There's somebody outside who needs that shelter more than me. And what I wanted to ask the Lord and try to understand was, am I going to get in the way of the blessing that I need by having that type of compassion and leaving myself on the short end of the stick? Because I genuinely said, am I right for taking shelter when somebody else has been outside for 10 days, 12 days, 3 years, 12 years? Should they not never have to go through that again? As opposed to me having to go through that for a couple weeks, couple months, you know what I'm saying? It's like when you start giving that self-exhaustion of the Lord coming through with the favor, it's the same thing I started this camera with. At what point in time do you start looking at the favor that you're given and say, Lord, please share it with others so that the compassion that I've been shown can be manifested in the people around me to make the world safer as in general. There needs to be more favor left to people that maybe don't have it. And this comes back to my coercing of energy. When people get that middleman in place, tell them to think this way, and therefore they end up hating people, or that energy that tells you not to be accepting of people, so therefore you're welcoming the deserving that comes with not being peaceful. The same ballpark. You just got to be willing to welcome the right energy and let God help you do that. Let Him help you do that. And turning to Him will help you welcome the right things so that your last name can be intact, so that your reputation can be intact, so that your name can be attached to things that people truly appreciate and respect. Because if you living all reckless and all that, you may be getting all you're trying to get, but at the end of the day, you just got a bad name. People gonna be looking like, yeah, no, we don't mess with him. Nope, take from him. X, yeah, let's plot against him. All these different things that come when you just act ungodly. You welcome all the blowback that comes from the attacking of demons. Demons get attacked. Just like I told y'all last night, you're going to see somebody, it might be the biggest, baddest, darkest figure, but he's going to slip on a banana peel. Just keep watching. It's like, because it's the truth. It's the truth. That energy is met with a certain level of, you really think you're doing with God? You think you God? Like, it's almost like laughter from on high, to where He looks at people who do that, and it's like, bro, you're not that strong. I can wipe you away, and I choose not to. And I have my reasons for it, but like, to you trying to be exalted as all world, all God, it leaves a lot of vulnerability for you to be attacked in ways that you would rather not be. And you're gonna take on adversity that is not meant for you to actually take on, based on your walking outside of what God's path would be for you. So a lot of us with our egos and our power got to redirect our energy so that God, the higher power that you believe in, can get you on the path that allows you to receive energy that is more protecting of your spaces, more protecting of your family, more protecting of your last name and its reputation. How do you welcome the best of energy, the opposite of them attacks? It is compassion, it is love, it is giving people breaks, it is giving people opportunities, it is turning the other cheek in certain situations if it makes sense to do so. That one I think we wrestle with, but like, you gotta just pick your battles and realize what you're doing when you're lashing out. You're welcoming the deserving of the energy that comes in return, the boomerang from it. And maybe you got hit first, but you're going to do whatever you're going to do, and then it's going to be a back and forth, and you're going to be just as deserving as the one who did it first in the end, because y'all would have done so much. And so it's like, that's what God's trying to coerce us away from, these energies that make it so that we're doing things the wrong way for its benefit. The godlessness, so to speak, that tries to coerce us into thinking we're going to get good out of bad. It just does not work that way. So I just wanted to give y'all that as well. And maybe that's all the lessons. I don't know. That might be all of them. I gave y'all a whole hour. I know I got plenty to do, but as y'all can see, man, I am just in this space where I'm letting the Lord guide the moment, and the comfort is found right here with y'all. So I just want you guys to know that comfort is a priority for me, but not as it pertains to just receiving it, but giving it. And I want to apologize to anybody that may have taken negative energy from my therapy sessions, may have made them feel worse at any time. I can only give you what I had, and it was true to me at the time, and I needed to get it out. Just like I needed to get this out, no different. But I think this is a better side. This is a better way to handle hard times, a better way to handle problems. And what I'm trying to find is a way to do this all the time. Because what I was used to didn't work for me. And it ultimately kept me in conditioning that made me weak. That made me better for feeling like I'm in the house, like, okay, I'm here, there's nobody here, but I don't need no other energies. I just need the protection from energies that are no good. It's like, nah, that's godlessness. The Lord wants you to look outside, see outside, and be outside. And then from there, do good things out there. Do God-ful things. Is that a word? I don't know. Do God-like things out there. You know, don't go out there looking for trouble. You're gonna find that. But if you go out there looking for love, they don't tell you you're going to find that. But I think if you display enough compassion, you'll see some compassion. You display enough breaks, you're going to get off that street. You display enough good energy, the God will, inside of you, will coerce you into the circumstances where shelter will be possible. I believe, I'm praying that he does that for you right now. I'm saying that right now. For those who are applying faith outside, homeless people specifically, anybody who needs a place, everyone in every shelter, everyone in every motel, I just want you to provide them lasting stability and shelter. Take away the environment for which they have to be outside anymore, so that we can have homes for the homeless and homes for the mentally ill in places where we just simply don't build. There are places with forests and deserts and all different types of long farmland, all different types of stuff that we could put communities together to help people get on their feet, help them get financial and mental support. We can take our mentally ill and develop them into working class citizens that empower the world with what it is that they do. You can get phenomenal things out of people like that if you just find a way to help them empower themselves to being better. This is an independent thought. I got this idea from something Kanye said, some things that they're working on, different things that help greenhouse stuff, all kinds of stuff that's super smart. But for me, it's like, yo, we can do that with the homeless. You can do that with the homeless. You could take a community of psychiatrists and therapists and doctors, put them on that property, and then bring in the people from Skid Row and give them the treatment that they need. Empower them to be the money makers that ultimately they can become when they find out who the heck they are outside of the circumstances they're in. Maybe there'll be some people that just can't do nothing, but there are going to be a lot of people you're going to find, yo, he got a good idea. Yo, that dude, man, he's talented. Yo, give him an opportunity. Yo, that dude's been under a bridge all this time. Man, get that man up, clean him up, and let's get him in an accounting office so he can do what it is he's put on this earth to do. A lot of people outside, man, and they're not done. They're just forgotten about. There's a lot of people out there, they got something to give you, man. I promise you. I've known of homeless people that had something. to give you in talk and conversation. They just needed somebody to pick them up off their feet and let them find their way outside of the need and desperation for being outside on the street like forever. And look, in the places that I have in my mind, they can walk free, man. They can walk for miles. They can go far away from that property, but they always know they can return to it. It's not like I'm asking them to stay in space and just that, because some people really want to be free of some of the responsibilities and all of this. Some of them are caught up like me and just need to be isolated. Whatever their conditioning is, there's healing for it, though. They don't have to continue to bind themselves in the conditioning that feels most comfortable. I can relate fully. It's not necessary. It's not best for you. God is sick of you being in that space. He wants you out of that. I'm telling you, he is. He's telling me by way of my life that he wants everybody out of that. He ain't just sick of me being in a space that ain't meant for me, looking out the window, hoping that God will come through to just make me feel more comfortable in a space that ain't meant for me. No, he wants me to come outside and trust him to be out there with him. And that, my friends, is what he wants to do for all of us in whatever little binds that we find ourselves in our specific walk. Your specific walk ain't about being bound. Your specific walk is about discovering that you don't have to be. And I speak to myself, and I speak to whoever that would be relevant to. But that's the truth, man. And I'm just telling you, as I see him moving me, a very prayerful person, he's moving my life around for the first time in 8 years. He's moving me. I'm telling you that I feel in my heart he's ready to move millions more. Millions more. Maybe not at the same time, but he's fed up of watching y'all suffer, man. He's fed up of watching y'all be in spaces that are coercing you away from good energy. He's fed up of watching you try to kill each other, thinking each other is your enemy when you really have a real enemy that's actually out here trying to destroy not only you, but everybody you love. And because of it, you can do something about it if you just get away from these cultures. He wants you to stop being taken for a ride by all of these little entities out here that are taking us for a ride. However it's working, he's sick of certain stuff, y'all. He's legitimately fed up. And I get the feeling that he don't want to wipe away the earth. He don't want to put us on some Sodom and Gomorrah trauma. He don't want to pull another Katrina. He don't want another pandemic. He just wants people to finally see the cat come out of nowhere. He wants people to finally see the clock stop. He wants people to finally see the timing he's on and to trust him organically without all them threats. He don't want to threaten us no more. Hear me when I say this. He's tired of having to threaten people to get him to act right. And I think that's why he made me, to say these things in the way that I'm saying them, because it ain't about you better or else. It's about you got a certain time to be here, and I don't want you to waste it. I don't want you to waste it doing nothing. I don't want you to waste it looking at stuff for hours but not building yourself up to be nobody you love and then going outside and reflecting that energy upon others. I don't want that for my people. I know that y'all being coerced into stuff. I get people to heaven's gates every day, and I tell them I know it wasn't your fault. You think you're going to hell? You probably not, because it wasn't your fault. You're going to have to pay, but you're not evil. You were just coerced into bad energy, and you didn't have nobody telling you that wasn't no good for you. But here I am saying it. It ain't no good for you. He put it in my heart to tell you. Some of that stuff you don't have to do anymore. You may be conditioned for it. It may feel good, and it is also going to coerce you into certain paths that are crap for you. Get out of there. Get the hell out of there. Believe in the new conditioning. Believe in something that could start anew that will be better than what it is you're dealing with. Or believe in you getting better for having to go through things that may not be as comfortable. Believe in God's will for your life, because the timing that he's given me to show to you is not just meant for me. It's meant for every single soul that can see this. Every single soul that can hear this. Every single soul that can receive what it is that's going on here. The world wants us to think we're alone. What I'm telling you is the very essence of what protects you from the world's ills is that of a God that keeps with you at all times. All times. So when you pray what you pray, you know he's with you. Even if you're not praying what I'm praying, I'm telling you, I've talked to him about this directly many times. He loves the religions. He loves good people where he finds them. He loves good people where he finds them. If you're a good person, if you have good intentions, you don't have to have the personality that's bubbly like or whatever, but if you have good intentions, your good heart, he wants some good things for you. Some stuff that you would perceive as good, maybe outside of what it is you know of right now. New love, new happiness, whatever. more love, more happiness, more family, whatever. His blessing upon your life is not limited to just you managing what's trendy in this world. Some of that trendy stuff is meant to trip you, and that's it. So believe in a higher power, and this stands for all of us, man. Those are in high places, the bottom, the president. I don't care who you are, friend. I promise you, it does not matter who you are. When you hear what it is that I'm saying right now, that timing that God has for your life and what he has for your afterwards is all written. It's going to be all right. You may have to sit for a long time. You may have to go through the worst of things. You may be on your way out, whatever the case. But I promise you, he's got a whole setup meant for your benefit when you apply your love to that God. I don't care what your life is about to be. When you get where you're going, you're going to have praise in your heart because he got a lot of good things for you. Let the world tell you whatever it's going to tell you. It don't know what come with what. The world is not all wise. It may be highly calculated. It may be able to see a lot and absorb a lot, but it's not wise. It's not a psychic. Remember that. There are a lot of things that are done based on data of the past. We think something's true because we've seen it a million times, and therefore the pattern is this. Patterns get broken. Patterns get broken. Only God knows where it's going to go from here. So don't let the world and its fears keep you in spaces that are not meant for your betterment, making you a threat to something that is of God. By way of your defenses against God, like energy for what you perceive as godlessness, it's not. And we got to be careful not to allow hate in our hearts as a means of pleasing God. Lies. You got to hate them because God don't like them. No, God don't like you not liking them. He'll deal with them on his own. You got to have love for them. You ain't going to like that. I know you ain't going to like that. I know that made some people say, what? No, that's the, I'm telling you, that's what it is. If he's not happy with them, it's just that he's not happy with them. Why are you not happy with them? That ain't got nothing. You ain't him. You don't even know what he's looking at when he sees them if he feels he's unhappy. You don't know that. You just know he ain't happy. But you're not applying that thought to anything else, are you? You just only apply it to that community? And you don't know what I'm talking about. You only apply it to the people you don't agree with as a means of saying God don't agree with that, but God don't agree with you doing that. Can't both exist at the same time, or does the evil not allow us to see that? Does our inability to embrace compassion not allow us to see that we're making God angry by treating people a bad way just because we think God is angry with them for being that way? That's evil. You ain't God. You ain't supposed to be judging nobody. You're supposed to understand that you got to sin, they got to sin, they got to sin, and it all has to be forgiven or dealt with by the Most High, or however how that goes. So if they're doing something they ain't got no business doing, the practice of that ain't no good, well, guess what? You could look at another community and see some practices that ain't no good. And you could look at another community and see some practices that ain't no good. And we're all living however we're living. And at the end of the day, I just feel like a lot of vitriol is pointed in certain directions, but not others as it pertains to God. Don't like that. Well, God don't like this either. God don't like none of that. Stop all of that. All of it. Get away from all of that. Get closer to him and he'll tell you what he likes. But as long as y'all continue to use your own discernment in regards to it, you're going to always coerce yourself into the worst of blowback. What comes with that? My hate, I don't like them. Now they're mad at you. Now they want to attack you. It's like, yo, ain't none of that necessary. You know what that transpires? What type of moments come from that type of energy? Trauma. People die. Stuff like that. Kids. You don't want to welcome callousness and hate and judgment upon humans. Because humans don't have a full encompassing understanding of what it is they are, let alone what anybody else is. So they're just going to lash out. You hate me, I'm lashing out. You hate me, I'm going to gatekeep. You understand what I'm saying? This is what births this type of stuff. And agreeables. Like, yeah, the money's right there. Let's gatekeep. No. Let's put all of this in the schools. No, that comes from people not feeling like they got anything, so they want to do everything. You understand what I'm saying? You gave me a little, now I got to take everything. You were supposed to give me full amount. You gave me this amount, so now I'm taking everything. No, friend, no. Don't impose your beliefs on children. You understand? No. That's not how you find the equality you're looking for. No. That's not how you find the love. No. I understand the mindset of getting the children early so they accept people, because if you want to get to people, if you get to people too late, you can't change their mind, so you got to get children. I get that. Believe me, I get that. But there's a godlessness attached to this in the sense that if you're not allowing yourself to realize that there are bad things about your community, that children should have nothing to do with, including the sexual nature of it, and when you introduce to them what it is, it's going to open the door for other things. That is not of him. You let them kids be kids, bro. They don't need to be doing all that, what is, what, nah, they let them figure it out on their own. I assure you, he don't like that either. Nah, he don't like that. Got them kids up there trying to figure out what makes sense and what don't. We haven't figured out what makes sense and what doesn't. We haven't figured out some of these conundrums. You know, honestly, we ain't figured it out. We haven't made it make sense yet, but we want to introduce it to children? No, man, no. No, you're going to have them kids confused, and then they're going to derive new cultures from within that confusion, and then you're not going to be happy with what you see from those kids. Y'all think it's going to go one way, it ain't going to go that way. It's going to go a different way. And that's what you cannot see. So the Lord's putting in my heart. You ain't raising them kids to be accepting of you. You're raising them kids to do some other stuff. Something entirely different. It's a third culture that's coming. And you ain't going to like the norms that come from that culture when you introduce certain things that haven't been fully developed to children who are also not fully developed. Consider it. So these are things I tell you, when you get close to God and you really pray to God and you really need him all day, all night, like I'm doing, like constant, like please don't even go away from me for 5 seconds because I'm so like this, God. He gonna let me say all kind of stuff that's gonna be relevant to what it is that he truly wants me to say. And I'm not God, but I'm telling you, the connection I have to that entity is not minor, man. My confidence in my ability to speak this way it's kind of weird now as it pertains to the confidence. It's almost like I don't want to speak nothing that ain't true, but it's almost like I ain't gonna be here that long anyway, so I better say all this, that kind of thing. Like I just get the feeling like it ain't gonna matter that I said all this in the end, and as it pertains to what I'm worried about, what is as I'm saying it, only that it was said. And so that's what the Lord is telling me, like, bro, you don't gotta worry about how I'm feeling it right now as it pertains to wasting time and not doing what needs to be done, because I'm doing exactly what needs to be done. This is what God wanted me to do with this hour and 17 minutes. This is exactly what came naturally to me, and it's exactly what's going to give us the most fruit going forward, is if everybody who hears this can get closer to the Lord and take in what it is that he's allowing me to take in through these words. If you take my word for it, you're not doing the part, because I didn't take my word for this. I prayed first. Please believe that. These words don't come out of my mouth if I ain't praying. It's negativity. Oh my God, it's all bad. That's what comes out of my mouth if I'm not turning to God. So anything that you hear coming out of my mouth in this moment is definitely because he's here with me. He's here with me, man. It's the only thing that gives me the positivity that none of this is any good for me, despite feeling extremely comfortable in it. So that's where we at, man. The new realization of new things being better. New things being better. New energy being best. Hate only gives me the worst of consequences. If I